All right, there we go. Hello, good morning. This is B video 931, and I will try to keep it short. I've tried like 3 times to get this video out, and I can't, I can't seem to keep cohesive. But anyway, I'm sitting here in my pink Hello Kitty blankie and my pink nightgown, and I'm being girly today, I suppose, but I'm always girly. Always girly. Um, but no, I just want to make a, I would say that make a quick video, but I realized yesterday how different where we are today is in 2023 versus the age that I was brought into this world in the 1970s, and just how far gender dealing with gender dysphoria has come. Last night on Saturday Night Live, um, one of the cast members who's non-binary got to talk a little bit about all the legislation that's being passed against transgender children, transgender kids, which obviously bubbles up to anti-transgender sentiment for transgender teens and adults, like me and you, I presume. People that hate our guts and don't like us and want to make our lives miserable. People who are passing legislation not to improve their lives, but to make other lives worse. Um, that seems to be the vibe that what I've taken away this week is that a person that passes a bill taking away transgender rights um, is not doing it to address economic inequality, to fix potholes in the roads, to brighten our, give money to education, defend our borders. It totally is an issue to hurt other people, and that seems to be kind of what kind of yanks my chain, as it was. And whenever there is a anti-trans anything, obviously it yanks my chain. It affects me. It pulls it messes me up, you know. And we should be able to live, I think, in this day and age in a world where we should be able to get through our days. We should be able to thrive. We should be able to have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's kind of been my thing. And I tried to think a little bit today about how, uh, the obviously the experience of a transgender child that's able to convey their feelings and their needs to their parents. Their parents are able to have the counseling and the education to educate themselves to the welfare of the children. Child, da 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 da. It just is such a different trajectory than the trajectory that I was on, and maybe you were on growing up. That child is going to have so many more opportunities, and to actually have a childhood, and you know, my sister used to say something about how she didn't have a childhood. you know, and that's probably a whole other issue. But family, the way we were raised, da, 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 not necessarily gender related. Well, probably was gender related, but you know what I mean. But it's one of those things about what I back to my point, and then I'll shut up. I'm hoping once I get going, I'll talk. But just how different where we are today versus where we were when I was younger, maybe when you were younger, to have a nationally broadcast television show talk about transgender children's rights and the obligations of people, not just transgender parents, but our society as a whole to take care of our children, you know. Um, there are people right now passing laws to prevent healthcare for children, healthcare for kids, to withhold care, medical care for kids. They're so caught up on the word transgender, they forget that they're children, they're kids. And if you withhold care from children, you don't care about kids. And that sort of, in my mind, deflates the holy high ground, or the moral high ground that seems to be with Republican people. Well, I don't, it's not for myself. It's for the children. I'm doing it for the children. I'm protecting the children. Bullshit. You are uncomfortable with the idea, something that's, and I saw a comedian last night, Ray Wood Jr. I guess I should put a link to that if I can find it again, from his special. And he talked about society and the way the world has changed. And he said, people are lazy. Adults don't want to learn. They don't want to learn anything new. And he said, there's a period in our time when we go through high school and we get that diploma. You know, my case, I don't know where it ended up. My college diploma. Okay. And he said, we get this piece of, but our high school diploma. He said, we get this piece of paper and we can put it on the wall, our diploma, or whatever. And people are like, no, no, I'm done learning. He said, that's the end of it. He said, that's what high school graduation is a celebration that you are no longer going to be taught. If you think about it, it's probably true to a certain degree. You know, for a person, uh, K through 12 education, you're going to get a little bit of science, a little bit of sociology, a little bit of history, lots of little bits of a variety of things to give you the foundation to go forward. And his idea, the comedian, was that that's your stamp. I ain't gonna learn no more. And he said, people who, when they encounter something new, they're fighting their laziness. They're fighting the idea that they have to learn something new. And he said, I got the paper on the wall that says I'm done learning. And he said it a couple times in his bit about transgender people, about women's rights, things that are ingrained in our society that were probably, if you took a snapshot, like my mom's society, where you don't question a man, you do whatever your husband tells you to do. I think my mom's pretty hip, but even to this day, she will not question anything that my stepfather says because he's the man. See what I'm saying? Those behaviors, that structure is still set up, you know. And so again, like I said, my mom pretty hip with me, um, but as I talked a little bit before about, I want to get breast implants, and her thing was, well, you're attacking your body, you're destroying your body. You know, her mind is not open to the idea that, what I'm saying, transgender is so alien. It's such an alien concept for her generation. And that's what I'm saying about how far we've come. How far we've come. You know, uh, in the 70s, uh, when I think about transgender, it was all drag. It was all guys wearing women's clothes as a comedic thing. Milton Berle, Flip Wilson, comedians, actors, performers, entertainers dressing up as a woman because it's funny. Okay. A guy in a dress was funny. Um, and the I forget who came out with the documentary that was about transgender stuff, and they always talked about, it was a trope for like black comedians to dress in drag, and you look at the movies that have come out with, Martin Lawrence and the Wayland brothers, and again, it's a trope, you know. Even Eddie Murphy, you know. Um, Again, it's the type of thing that we went from it being something funny, and I think it still kind of is, to something that was despicable if you were serious about it. It went into the realm of homosexuality, which was taboo and wrong, morally wrong. Again, the snapshot of my world versus where we are today. I would not question, well, maybe we'll take me out of it, but uh, to see a TV commercial now, last night again, I was watching, well, obviously I watch TV for Saturday Night Live, but there were commercials that had gay men in it, I presume. What are you going to tell from a 30-second commercial? But, women, men, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's such a different society. Is the what is acceptable and unacceptable has changed so much. And to have a thing, like I said, on national TV a couple of years ago, it was abortion on Saturday Night Live. Cecily Strong would get up in during the weekend update and talk about abortion. Abortion is not a bad thing. Abortion is not something that you should criticize or make fun of or da da da. She helped to break that apart. And what I saw last night with Molly Kearney, the non binary person, was the same thing. Destroying the idea that it's taboo, that it's not something to be discussed, that it's something to be ashamed of, guilt, shame, um, you know, destroying that. You know what I mean? It's going to be progress going forward. It's out there now. It's out there now. There is a black, I know he's famous for something, whether he's a musical artist or a basketball player or something. He has a transgender daughter, and nobody fucks with him. I mean, um, there is obviously in our current circles one influencer with the Bud Light and everything, the beer. Uh, there's a lot of things now that this idea of transgender being a bad thing or social, or it's being torn apart, it's being shredded, and yet, last night during Saturday Night Live, I know I saw it twice. I thought it might be three times, but definitely twice. There was a political ad from the governor candidate in Kentucky. I can't think of her name. Katie, starts with a C. Um, Kelly. Anyway, um, that was anti-transgender. Um, you know what I mean? So it's still an issue. It's not over. Please don't misunderstand me. But I'm just saying, in the consciousness, it's being just that. Like I said, it's being Build a Bear. I did this on my Facebook page a couple days ago. Build a Bear workshop has a drag queen bear. Okay, has a RuPaul drag queen bear, teddy bear, okay, with makeup and everything, a wig, and I mean, it, 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 this it's society in one way it's changing so quickly, or it's just changing. It's more apparent maybe, and yet we still have those pockets that are against it, you know. So anyway, I don't want to go on too long, but this morning I was just kind of taken back by how much things have changed in what 70, 80, 90, 100, 10, 50 years, my lifetime. Well, duh, 51. Um, just how much, and now that it is changing, you know what I mean? Like, what will the future be? um, Again, we're still gonna. It's battle's not over yet, but it just gives me a lot of, yes, it's terrible that some states can't pass laws, da 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 da, da, but the writing is on the wall. You know what I mean? Like you can't. The genie is out of the bottle. It's not gonna. Yes, you can have people pass laws. You can have people ban, but it's not gonna. It's not gonna last. You know what I mean? Uh, the more and more that the more time that goes by, and the more people from the older generation who are not willing to learn something new. I got a piece of paper on the wall. I'm going to put a link to it. It's very funny. You know, uh, as they become less and less significant to society, as they become irrelevant, society is going to change. Progress happens, and these people are their ideas are just going to be further and further and further. You know what I'm saying? This distance is going to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. And these people over here, like I said, they'll always be there. Haters going to hate, but their relevance is going to get less and less and less and less. They're going to become the flat earthers, you know. They're going to become the moon landing hoaxers. They're going to be people that are going to fight tooth and nail for that point of view, but they're going to become increasingly less and less relevant. And, like I said, I think about my mom and her generation and the social norms. It's so out of touch with today. And where is that going to be when I'm where she is and I'm no longer relevant? I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine just how different things are going to be? Hopefully for the better. But uh, anyway, so I'm optimistic for the future. It is going to suck. The next couple of years are going to really suck because we're such an easy target right now. We're such an easy target. Transgender people are such an easy target to blame your problems on. This last week, I heard the budget, the inflation, the economics was based on transgender people. There was a mass shooting. There was a mass shooting like 2 weeks ago with a questionably transgender person. But since then, there's been two mass shootings. Okay, and one of them was in Louisville near me. And immediately it was their pronouns. So I mean, like we're always gonna have this antagonism. Like I said, it's like the mm, can't wait for that to go away. Kind of like Trump. I can't wait for Trump to go away. You're insignificant. You know what I mean? I mean, he's got to be held accountable for what he did wrong. Don't misunderstand me. He needs to be in jail or prison or something. But I'm ready to think about something else. I want him punished for his crimes, but I want to get through my day without seeing his name. You know what I mean? Trump's gonna be like Manson, you know. Trump's gonna be like Nixon. I'm sure there was a time people are like, yes, he's guilty, put him in jail, move on. You know, let's make sure this doesn't happen again. But let's talk about the future. Let's talk about progress. Let's talk about what other things that we also need to address. Um, and yeah, transgender stuff right now. This is going to be a big topic. At its very core, it is about personal freedom and what's your business and not your business. It's a challenge because for conservatives, um, there's a fact of the Republican Party that believes some things are not. It's not government's place to do X, Y, and Z. It's Republicans right now that are passing all these legislation. It's Republicans right now that are pushing big government, which is not historically conservative stuff. Now, Democrats may have to address legislation to prevent the Republicans. You know what I'm saying? Like, but right now it's a bunch of Republicans proposing bills to ban bathrooms and books and da 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 da. That is so against what traditional Republicans have been. Republicans are the less government, smaller government. So, like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. But anyway, that's where I'm at. Um, so yeah, do I have time to do a real quick, like 2 minutes on something else? I've also been struggling a little bit about my identity and who and what I am and what I want to do. That's like my whole entire life. I've been kind of like, and now I'm kind of sitting here going, okay, what's my next step? What do I want to do? Do I want to move somewhere? Do I want to change? Uh, I still have about 2 years where I'm at. My daughter has 2 years left of school, and then I can move. I can go to Colorado. I can go to Minnesota. Refuge states. I could move to North Carolina, which is where I really want to move. I could move. I met somebody this week over the playing a game of Shadowrun who lives in Germany, and I was sitting there going, "Fuck! What if I hooked up with someone and we liked each other and I met them, and over the course of 10 years or so, we decide we want to move together, and I go live in Germany. I'd do it. I would do it in a heartbeat if I knew my daughter was safe. My daughter wants to move to Iceland, okay? I would love to live in Oslo. I'd love to live in Norway. I'd love to live in Ireland. I'd visit. I've never traveled. There's places here in the United States I haven't been. I've only I've only been in the same 8 or so states in my entire life, and there's 50 states here, 51, territories and everything. I mean, there's so much stuff that I can do, and that's kind of what I'm thinking now is what's my next step. So on that note, I'll shut up. So hang in there, but kind of where we're at. Bye bye.